Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we are continuing with our series of shirim of the Torah of recovery and the recovery of Torah with the light revealed. And Be'ezras Hashem, we're trying to live with the times, we're trying to live with the day, we're trying to live with the moment itself and to illuminate the time, space orientation, the gvulim, the limitations as to how we view ourselves in this particular moment, to illuminate those boundaries with the light of the Torah, not to destroy the boundaries, not to get rid of the boundaries, not to pretend that the boundaries of self, other world, concealment don't exist. We're not pretending that they're not there. We're just illuminating them. We're revealing the light within them. And when one reveals the light within them, they become more easy to process. The healing becomes easier. Moving through the impenetrable walls of concealment begin to appear to be more possible. A person laughs at the problem, a person laughs at themselves, and they begin to move a little bit lighter. The light of the Torah, the light revealed, means that the light is coming from the inside. It's revealing that all of the things that appear so thick and concealed and immovable are ultimately just condensations of the light that has come from a much higher place and congealed into our experience of concealment. But if we dig down deep into the concealment itself, there's no longer any need to get rid of it or to assume that I have to shift my circumstances into another place in order to be okay, because I realize that within the problem itself, within the difficulty itself, there is nothing but a space of light that needs to be refined and revealed so that the concealment itself becomes illuminated. Not that we learn to live in the concealment without trying to break free from it, but the only way to possibly break free from concealment, the only possible orientation of affirmation must come on the heels of a radical acceptance of self. Radical acceptance does not lead to inactivity, as our Yitzhahar would like us to assume, as Shabtai Tzvi and history would like us to assume. That tasting the depths of the secrets of Torah does not lead a person astray. It leads a person directly into a place of menucha, menuchas emesh atorot seba, and from there a person can learn to grow. Growth is the most fundamental thing that is present in any person's life. The neshama is perpetually seeking the infinite, and if we begin to think that we can satisfy the infinite desire with some finite object that has a taste or a hint of infinitude, so then we're lost, and then comes all of the difficulties of addiction, where the concealment and the thickness become thicker than they actually are, and they seem real. They seem like they're boundaries that one cannot break free of. But only when a person softens the problem, reveals the light within it, laughs at it, cracks it up, makes it a little bit more porous, then a person has the strength to move through it and beyond it. The Iker Tachlis is to be mit'ala, to grow every moment, to reveal more and more of ourselves and to become more and more refined and more of ourselves in the next moment. But the only space wherein that growth is not going to be pathological and rooted in a sense of scarcity and desire and some capitalistic urge to have enough that will make me feel okay in this world is to first and foremost radically accept the fact that as human being, I will never be perfect. I am imperfect by design. My goal is not to become perfect. The notion of perfection is klipa, it's avodah zarah, it's what drives all chaos in one's life. This is not some symptom of a fall, but rather it is the very ontological reality of the human being that I am a bal chisaron. I don't have everything. I am not God. Kedushasi l'maala mikdushasechem. Then I recognize that if I'm not perfect, my best attempt is to become a little bit more of myself and my best self that I'm capable of becoming, which means that there is no objective point that I have to arrive at, but rather the subjective places of personal, spiritual, religious, internal growth are all in accordance with the individual's heart themselves. My world, my relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, independent of X, Y, or Z that's taking place outside of me. I can mimic, I can learn, I can allow others to influence my life, and I can accept advice from others, but not because the other is the ikr. Ultimately, the ikr is me and how I connect to something, how I connect to tzaddik, how I connect to Torah, and how I connect to Hashem. And again, this self-acceptance and the reaction and the reality that I am my own universe, just as every other person is their own universe, only comes about when I relinquish the desire for some perfect objective goal and I accept the fact that there is only imperfect subjective goals, because that's what it means to be human. As the Leshem Shabbat whose yard said it is today, teaches us more than any tzaddik, that in the end of the day, the inability for a human being to become perfect is not because the human being is imperfect as a result of some behavior, but rather because God's perfection is such a profound level of infinitude and perfection and light that there is no graspability of the human mind as a creature to ever come to a full grasp of it. It's not because we're not good enough. It's because these are the rules. This is how it works. The ultimate place where a person will realize their spiritual potential is in the place of faith, which is what survives after knowledge has climbed every rung of its ladder and come to a place of ignorance. In that place, a person accesses the light of Purim. In that place, a person accesses the light of acceptance of the self fully, the willingness to go to sleep and to come to a place of realizing I don't know the difference between Haman and Mordechai. And like Yonah Hanavi, who goes down in the midst of the storm, goes down, 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 and he lives in that place of concealment, and all he does is go to sleep. That Adlo Yada, like the Ramah says, that a person needs to go to sleep in order to not realize the distinction between Haman and Mordechai. When we relinquish control, when we realize that we're not in control and we take ourselves less seriously and we go to sleep a little bit, then we allow ourselves to dream. Then we allow ourselves to take on all of the responsibility. And so the light of Pnimius HaTorah, the light of Purim, the light of the Leshem, Shabbat Chaloma, the light of recovery, the light revealed, is not coming to get rid of the problems. It's coming to give us a way of looking and grappling with the problem in a more refined way that will be a derech of ni'imus. All there is a derech. It's a derech l'asad lavo. Everything is always just along the path. We are never arriving. But there are ways of experiencing the path. I can either live a frenzied process of trying to quicken the path with any technology or substance that arrives in my way, because the main goal is some destination, some grasp, some pure expression of knowledge or graspability, as if there's some end of the road. And then the path is unpleasant. Then the path is just there to be broken. Then the path is just there to find the next thing that's going to make the path less of a duration, less difficult. And that's the opposite of recovery. That's the opposite of a sober mind. That's the opposite of redemption. The world of redemption is illuminating the path. It's that deracheha darchei noam, that the derech itself is the ni'imus. The pleasantness is found in the process of being human, coming to terms with being human, accepting our human condition, and growing from that place, and coming to find God in spite of the fact that as a human being, by definition, it appears that God is absent, as all of the tzaddikim teach us, as the Baal Tanya teaches us, as the Leshem teaches us, as the Baal Shem Tov teaches us, as the Gra teaches us, as Rashbi teaches us, as we know intuitively. And so the goal is not to get rid of the derech. The goal is not to get off of the derech. The goal is to illuminate the derech, to illuminate a light revealed upon the derech so that the path can be more pleasant and that the process can be felt in a more refined way. And we can own the process and we can realize that the difficult moments are as significant from a spiritual level as the easy moments. And both compose the beautiful picture, the beautiful color, that blueness that is a composition of white and black, the perfect balance of what Avodas Hashem is. And so the pasuk says, "Vayakhel Moshe es kol hadas b'nei Yisrael vayomer aleihem ele hadvarim asher tziva Hashem la'asososam." And Moshe Rabbeinu gathered together the entire congregation of Israel, and he spoke to them, and he said as follows. He told them that this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has commanded us to do. Now, in process of recovery, just as in Avodas Hashem, there is an orientation towards realizing that once I accept that I am my own world, once I accept that I don't need to be perfect, once I accept all of these things about myself, so how do I move forward? How do I give shape to this pulsational force at the heart of the neshama that wants to grow, but doesn't know how to grow yet? The knowledge of wanting to grow is always there. The ability to refine that knowledge and to apply it in applied physics so that I can actually develop some orientation towards functional growth, functional recovery, functional steps forward. I need to ask advice. I need to learn how to orient myself to those who have gone before me, to those who walk a path that I would like to walk along, to those whose behaviors and whose ethic and moral proportions are something that I want. There is an or of a tzaddik. There is the or of Moshe Rabbeinu. There is an or of those who come to sponsor us, those who give us insight, those teachers along the way, those friends, that family, that chavivusa talia milsa that comes along to offer an illumination upon the path. Once a person has their das, once a person uncovers their das, which is A, I don't need to be perfect, not because I'm bad, but because that's the way I am. B, once I own that, I can relax a little bit and enjoy the derech. And once I'm on the derech, the ikr is besam derech. It's bechol derechecha de'ehu, to have das, to be connected, to be present in this moment with my mind, with my heart, with my body. I am here right now. I am not running away. I am trying to A, do what I can to change the things that I can, B, accept the things that I cannot change, and C, know the difference, which is the nakuda of das that allows all three of those connectivities to take place. The ikar way of illuminating the derech is through das, is through knowledge, is a knowing. It's an intuition that comes about by study and prayer, and that only happens after there's a transformation from the inside of the mind into the lived experience, into the habituated nature, the things that I know most deeply, those positive elements, those affirmations that I know at the heart of all hearts of what the tzaddikim tell me about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, about what HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells me about the tzaddikim, and I know in the heart of hearts that it's all true. That's the Nakuda of Das. Each person has their own Das, and there's no Das, there's no point of knowledge that is similar to another. Like we said, each universe is its own universe, and each person will grasp in accordance with their own Das. And the purpose of Purim, and the purpose of going to sleep, and the purpose of letting go of our ability of knowing and entering into that place of not knowing is ad de lo yada, that a person comes to a state of a sober reflection in the most sober form of reflection, which is, oh my God, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I thought I was driving the car. And now it turns out that there's no steering wheel, there's no car, there's no wheels, there's no road, there's nothing. I don't know anything at all. I'm sleeping, I've been sleeping, and now I can allow myself to dream. And once a person uncovers that das, the next step is Vayakhel Moshe es kol das Yisrael, that there needs to be an element of Moshe, the tzaddik that comes along to orient all of those nekudos of das, to give our minds a direction. Not that the tzaddik, not that Moshe, not that the sponsor, v'chule v'chule lahavdil, lives the path for us. Nobody can live the path. Nobody has the das that the individual has, but it's only through connecting to those who have gone before us, trusting in people that the people we trust in, trusting in the goodness of people, yet being suspicious ultimately at the core and always ready to step away when a person sees something that does not reflect goodness. The hiskashrus to Moshe Rabbeinu, the hiskashrus, and here we make a distinction obviously between the tzaddikim and any other form of connectivity to, a person who is giving insight into a person's life. But ultimately, there is a collection of all of the das, the point of experience, the point of expression, the point of grasp that each person has, gets gathered together by the das of Moshe. Vayakhel Moshe es kol das Yisrael. That Moshe, the person who has a perspective, the books that have perspective, the written word, the tradition that has perspective because they've gone this path before me, I need to orient myself towards that place. I need to connect myself. I need to be makasher myself to those tzaddikim in my life. And amechulam tzaddikim, and every person is a tzaddik. Every person is carrying a message of the tzaddika shel olam, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when a person refines themselves enough to allow the message of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to move through them towards the other person in acts of selflessness and usefulness, so in that place, that person becomes a merkava. That person themselves becomes a tzaddik. Why? Because they're conveying the message of the tzaddika shel olam from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They're a messenger from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everything is a messenger from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And in the moment that the messenger allows themselves to become messenger and they're mavata themselves, they become tzaddik. And then that or can come and illuminate within each and every one of ourselves the nikuda of amich kulam tzaddikim, that all of us are tzaddikim. But it comes about from the hiskashrus hadas, from the connection of our minds to the tradition, to what is written, to how it works, to the secret of that there is an order to this. One must not go about it alone. The path of spirituality, the path of recovery, the path of growth is far too serious to take seriously. I can't take it seriously enough. I can't take myself seriously enough to assume that I can do it. I need to ask the question, and that's where Vayakhel Moshe es Adas Kol Yisrael, that Moshe Rabbeinu gathers together the das of Moshe, the das of the tzaddik, the das of the sponsor lahavdil, is there to orient the das of the individual, my perspective, my shift, to give me direction. And all it is, when we see what is Moshe Rabbeinu saying to Bnei Yisrael, he's saying all of the things that Hakadosh Baruch Hu commanded them. Moshe Rabbeinu is not adding anything. There's no specificity here. It's just an orientation towards, if I want to connect to the light of God, if I want to connect to the light of spirituality, I need to figure out how to trust, how to have trust in people in a way that comes about after having lost trust in people, after people having disappointed on every level and leading to that place of the inability to trust in people, where the only person I could have trusted in was myself. And then coming to the place of that second naivete where I can trust again, I can learn to trust people, I can follow the insights of people, to allow ourselves to suspend our disbelief and to uncover the good points in all of the teachers and all of the tzaddikim and the people that we choose to follow. And in that way, our das, our own process, our orientation is going to be mit'ala, and it goes then to the secret of the 6 days of the week that a person has to work, and then the light of Shabbos, because the das of Moshe, like we said, the or of the tzaddik, the path of what it means to be a yid in this world, what it means to be a person person along a path in this world and living the path is that the world is comprised of the 6 days of the week and Shabbos. There's the preventions and there's the experience. There's the whiteness and there's the blackness. And the tcheles that comes about from the battle between those two is going to be the most beautiful thing in the world. And ultimately, the way that this gets expressed most fundamentally and practically in a person's life is in the third pasuk, which is Lo sevaru eish b'chol moshoseichem b'yom HaShabbos. What does it mean to finally accept the fact that there are concealments, that there's 6 days of the week, that there's black, there's white in this world, that there's imperfection, and I orient myself on a path and I learn how to connect myself and I recognize and I accept that there's the 6 days of the week and there's Shabbos, there's moments of clarity, moments of disclarity. What's the totzah? What's the grand finale of all of this? It's lo sevaru eish b'chol moshoseichem. Do not kindle a fire in your entire premises over Shabbos, which all of the tzaddikim say is don't get angry. Like we've spoken about, take a deep breath. The ikar tachlis of being mekusher to a tzaddik is to learn how to take a deep breath, to inhale through the nose and to hold it, and to be patient, and to sweeten the anger in its root, and to come to terms with the fact that nobody is anything other than a messenger for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu has appointed tzaddikim to help him run the world, and those tzaddikim gave their messages over in the books that we have and that we're able to access, and when we access those points, we're able to accept upon ourselves the fact that I can overcome this temptation right now. I can overcome this anger right now. I can be mamtik and I can be zilcha to Eretz Yisrael. The secret of Eretz Yisrael, where a person is to take that deep breath and pause and not get angry. And that's the entire tachlis of a person coming to realize that I am my own world, I am my das. And for Moshe Rabbeinu to collect that das and for me to have an orientation of how to go along this path, all of it is there to refine our midos, to be calmer, to be more present, to accept ourselves more fully, to accept reality more fully, and to live with a state of conscious contact, to live with a state of all rightness, to live in a place of where I come to accept that everything is really okay, then I begin to be okay even when I'm not okay. And it's the process of acceptance, it's the process of coming to terms and being makabel upon ourselves, the nesius of those people that we connect ourselves to, the recognition that it's Vayakhel Moshe Asadas Kol Yisrael, that it's only through Moshe that there's a collection. And through that place we come to uncover the nitzuts of Moshe within ourselves, the best part of ourselves, that nitzuts of tzaddik within ourselves, which is ultimately the nitzuts of Mashiach within ourselves. And this is what brings about healing, redemption, and the revelation of only good things, Be'ezras Hashem.